Hello, friends. I'm DJ Lance Rock, and I have to say, Rock and Roll Grad School is awesome!
This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. Take our hands, we're off to Never Never Land.
Hello, kiddies. We are going to have a real good time together. We are talking with Jim Lindberg from Pennywise. Well, I get to talk to Jim Lindberg from Pennywise. You, alas, missed out.
A loss.
Yes.
It was a loss because a loss.
It was, yeah, I would like to think for both of you.
Well, thank you. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if Jim recognized it at the time, but I should have just been like, Jim.
I can't believe you recognized it.
Well, in retrospect,
Oh,
hindsight 2020.
indeed.
Yeah. So this is a solo project record, sort of. It's done under the name Black Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not his solo stuff from the last record, which I really liked. It's new solo stuff, but he's working with somebody else. So it's not Pennywise stuff. It's good. It's a fascinating interview on some of the dynamics of being in a band for 25, 30 years and how, believe it or not, that can be difficult.
Indeed.
So the younger is heading off to Sabrina Carpenter tonight.
Oh.
Yes, bracelets have been made.
Awesome.
Outfits have been procured.
Outstanding.
Now, tonight, if you're listening to this on the day we're releasing it, you will be going to see Jeff Lynne's ELO.
Indeed, same thing, basically.
Bracelets made?
No.
Okay. Outfits procured?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't expect nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the ELO before?
No.
Okay. So are there expectations?
I have no expectations other than I better hear my favorite songs.
Xanadu?
Well, I mean, clearly, obviously, but no, my favorite song is Telephone Line.
See, I'm more of a do ya kind of
Well,
fellow.
that's my second favorite song.
Well, you're going to get Mr. Blue Sky.
I mean, that's fun, but
I feel like when you do these like farewell tours,
you got to hit them all.
You're admitting that you will be playing nothing but the hits. You're not doing anything off the new record, right?
Well, I think they will as well.
Well, I look forward to a full report.
I know, I'm very excited. It's my second Wilbury in 4 weeks.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe we didn't, speaking of, well, not Wilburys, but tours with Wilburys, that you were not the one to send me Willie's endorsement of Not Political Show, but of
Not a Political Show.
Nelson sent me that.
I didn't send you the Springsteen video either.
No, I know.
Not a Political Show.
I know.
Do you think Bruce, is that a diner like somewhere on his property, do you think? Or do they have like an old-timey diner that they just keep up and already in Freehold, New Jersey, just in case Bruce wants to stop by and be, It just looks too close to that church in that was it Ford video?
Yeah, I know.
Where it's just like, it's way too convenient and perfect for all of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
Because it's just an endorsement. It's not like he's endorsing a product.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll just keep it a mystery.
But who pays for that? Does he just be like, Patty, it's an in-kind donation, we're gonna do this.
Of course. Absolutely.
And she just grabs the camera bag and starts lugging it to the car.
Yes.
Yeah. I just saw a statistic. I don't think we discussed this. that Soul Train lasted longer than the Confederacy.
Oh, I know. But weirdly, I know that because I just looked up some info on Soul Train yesterday.
Oh, I thought you were looking at
No.
info on the Confederacy.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't that give you faith in humanity a little bit?
It does.
Yeah, sorry if I'm keeping you
You're
up with
not.
this.
Mm-mm.
I just felt so much better about life.
Soul Train needs to come back.
But what do you do about like Don Cornelius?
Well, he should come back too.
So there, you're okay with AI?
No.
No.
Nope.
What about the
I'm
voice
not.
in the credits? I mean,
We could do those.
yeah, it's true.
We're bringing
Yeah,
Botany 500 back, so.
there's not a good, not even live music show right now. Is there?
Mm-mm. I don't think so.
At least in the US.
I don't even know if there is anywhere else.
I mean, Top of the Pops, I mean, I guess that's always like
Yeah,
the
holding
only
on.
only time I hear about Top of the Pops or the Old Grey Whistle Test is in reading about bands who go on there and refuse to lip sync and make it very, very obvious that they are indeed lip syncing.
Right. Right.
So probably a bad example of a good live music show.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Terrorist groups are planning bombs. Cold blood plots at the Pentagon. Worldwide hate crime marathon.
So this is Black Pacific, which is different than Pennywise, which is different than some of your other solo stuff. This is a little heavier than the last solo record. Why did you decide to kind of go this way this time?
Well, I have a box of cassette tapes sitting right here next to me that's literally overflowing with full of songs, full of cassettes, full of songs, all kinds of different parts of songs that I've amassed over the years writing songs. I never really know where they're going to end up. And I knew that I had a batch that I felt was very timely and also was just kind of exactly what I wanted to be saying at this given moment with everything going on in the world and in my life. And so I was trying to talk to guys in Pennywise to go in the studio and record a few of them, but it didn't really work out. And I just said, "Hey guys, I'm going to go in and do this on my own." And that's what I did. Went in with Paul Miner and recorded a bunch of songs, and I plan on doing a lot more of it now.
Because you have such a backlog of buckets of music hanging out. We
I
love
just
show
want
and
to show
tell.
you that I'm not
Yes,
lying.
please. Oh my
Can
God.
you see in
Yeah.
there?
Yes, I
They're
can.
falling.
Yeah.
Those are all cassette tapes
Wow.
from like the 90s.
Oh, they go
Some of these
back that
songs I
far?
wrote. Yeah, some of these songs are from like when Kurt Cobain was alive.
Wow.
You know, it's these
And
are
now he'd be a
all
grandfather.
yeah, I know, right? And he would. I was just thinking that today. That's got to be the coolest kid in the world, Tony Hawk as a
Yeah.
grandfather and Kurt Cobain.
But you had these songs for that long.
Yeah.
When you're putting them together, I mean, they're not really bunched in any pile of like, these are about this, or this is what I think this one's about. Do you just go through it all again, or are you constantly making notes and keeping track of everything and kind of assembling them as a set list almost on paper to start?
Yeah, basically there was some of the songs were ones where I had submitted for Pennywise and was like, I have no idea why we're not recording this song. I wrote a lot of songs with each album, sometimes upwards of 30 fully formed songs for each album.
Wow.
But everyone in the band writes songs, so it got to a point with each album I'd already taken up a lot of space on the album, so necessarily there's going to be some songs that got left off, but and Fletcher especially leans towards the more hardcore, really fast, aggressive stuff, and he's not about to be putting on any love song to my wife. on a Pennywise record. So it would
I
be
mean,
usually
fair.
those. Yeah, it would usually be those that would get left off. And once I had a batch of them, I kind of said one more time, like, hey, I'm going to record all these songs. And, one last shot if you guys want to take these. And, you know, that's completely fine. But I definitely wanted to do them myself and produce them myself. And I found, it's really difficult to go in the studio with four guys and have a song that you really like a lot, and then it gets changed or compromised in some way because they want to put their stamp on it. And with this batch of songs, they were personal enough that I wanted to make sure that they were recorded the way I wanted to record them and put out the message that I wanted to put out. And I kind of had to do it on my own, and it was a really rewarding experience to do it that way. And like I said, I've got a lot more songs I'd like to do the same thing with. And that's really what I love about music is recording and that whole process of bringing a song to life. The touring stuff is kind of like afterthought. I mean, it's fun, but I really like creating things.
And this record you did with Paul Miner as the recorder, producer. What was that like, that relationship? Because obviously these mean a lot to you. You don't want to just throw them down on tape and walk away. You want to spend some time on them. You got to end up with somebody that you actually like being around, I'm guessing.
I went in totally blind. I just had heard some projects that he's done, namely one with Russ Rankin from Good Riddance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that he had done all kinds of great albums. And I just rang him up and said, hey, you want to do this? So I'd never met him, but the experience couldn't have been better. And I've worked with a lot of different people, and this was so easy. Literally the point of drive down there, put on a pot of coffee at 11 o'clock in the morning, and just go for it. Plug everything in, get a few sounds. Like literally, I just brought in my guitar. He knew exactly the sound that I was going for. He had the cabinets there. He had all the equipment. We just plugged it in really quickly, got a few sounds, and then we were off to the races, And while we're recording, just just a super friendly guy, super easy to work with. There was no drama at all, and everyone knows with Pennywise, it's high drama. Like when we're in the studio, there's people quitting halfway through. There's danger of punches being thrown. There is cursing. There is blood, sweat, and tears. Mm-hmm. So to go into a recording and have it be this easy was something where I couldn't been more appreciative of him and his way of doing things. He's just a really low key guy, but he works hard and gets it done, Mm-hmm. And it's like none of the BS, it's more like, hey, we're here to do something. You got some great songs. Let's plug in and play it. Let's quit screwing around. And a lot of it was, one take Jake, it's just like Alan is a great drummer. He's always able to interpret where I'm trying to go with the song, and he's usually one or two takes tops. And so it was a really easy experience and fantastic working with Paul.
As far as working with Pennywise and that sort of volatile relationship in the studio, is that just part of the makeup of the band of like, we got to go through this hell to make a record that we all really believe in and can go out and play for a year plus?
It wasn't always that way. I think we have very strong personalities in the band. In any band's career, the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, the first few albums, when the stuff is just coming in blazing, it's a lot easier. Later on in a band's career, as you can imagine, once there's been so much water under the bridge, it gets a lot more difficult. And that's when the problems start. There's never a problem when you're all writing great songs and everyone loves it. And right. But when people start going, I don't like that song so much, and and then they're, upset that this song didn't make it on the album, but that song did, and you get a lot of that going on. And then people hear the sounds different way, and there's the egos that get involved, of people like, I think my guitar could be louder, or I think my cymbals need to be louder, or my voice needs to be louder. And then you get to a point where everything is just going all the way up. And
Right.
Funnily enough, we named our album Full Circle based on that whole concept, not because we were talking about the cycle of life. We were talking about the fact that we just made everything louder and louder until we had to go full circle back to the start and put everything back down where it was supposed to be. And that's how that album got its name. But yeah, so if I'm being honest, going in there by myself and producing the thing ourselves was a million times easier.
Yeah. Do you trust it? Since you've had such a, your recording career has been rough in patches. When 2 takes and you're like, oh, that's it, we got it. Like, do you trust that? Or are you sitting there going like, I think we got it, but I don't know 100%.
Uh-huh. I've been doing this long enough now that I really trust someone like Paul when I go in there, that I know that I've written the song. And if I like the song, that's all that matters really to me. I can't help afterwards if someone says this song sounds too much like that, or this song is not my cup of tea. But it has to be something where, like, especially with this batch of songs, where I've held on to these songs for almost 20 years. And I had one of my best friends, who's old school punk rocker, he said about the song Paranoid, he goes, I think that's my favorite song that you've ever written, acoustic or Pennywise or anything. And it's almost bittersweet, because I'm like, yeah, I know, I've been sitting on that song for 20 years. I wrote it after 9/11, and about the
Wow.
terrorist attacks, and the looming Iraq war. And we're starting to hear about climate change and dangers of that, and we had the priest scandals and things like that. So everything I'm talking about in that song was already going on, and I just added global pandemics and militias and hate groups and stuff like that to make it more appealing for 2024. But it's kind of like a situation where I kind of know what I want to put out there, and I know that the songs are good and I like them a lot. So I just know I have to find someone like Paul who's just going to get them onto tape, or
Hmm.
onto a drive somewhere, and not get in the way of it. Because, and I think he understood that too. It's not my first rodeo. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, everyone knows in the music world, you can have a producer who's really a facilitator, or there's ones that are like, I want to put my stamp on this thing. I want to
Yeah.
completely change you guys. And, there's been all kinds of stories like that, from different producers out there. And
And let's name them
sometimes they
right
just need
now.
to get up. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, just and so the way he works is just, let's do what you want. Let's do what how it sounds to you as the artist and see what you get.
Yeah. And that's, I think, for someone like me, that's the best way to do it. I would always be frustrated in the past if I was working with someone who maybe feels like you have to adhere to a certain way of doing things, or they think they know the sound that we want based on previous albums, or they have a specific way to doing things, but it doesn't match with what I'm trying to do for the song, and that's really frustrating. Even the point of, like, they're like on a couple albums in the past where I would be like, man, the backing vocals need to be up louder, and they just never get to that point where I'm happy with them. And it's because the engineer, the producer, likes the background vocals low. And so what happens when you get to that point? You put out a record where you're unsatisfied with it. So there can be battles in there, but I think it's important to compromise at times, but other times you got to stand up for what you know is right for the song.
Yeah. Given that you have so many outlets to put out stuff you've, written and made, why go under the Black Parade for this? I'm sorry, the Black Pacific, and not under your name.
That was a really quick conversation with the label and a very fraught one with the band. And I had put these songs together, recorded them with Paul, and then I was going to put them out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized I didn't have the time or energy to do that. And so I talked to a couple people. I had heard a little bit about Dynalone Records and liked some of the artists on that label. And I wanted to go out of my safety zone with the label. And so I talked to them, and when we discussed about what to put it out under, some of the team there were like, your acoustic stuff is under Jim Lindberg. And and you have this Black Pacific album out, and if we put it out on something else, we have to start a whole new thing that people will have to discover. And I had people up to this current release that had, never heard of the first album or didn't know that there was a Black Pacific album. And so they really thought it was important to put it out under that name. So I asked the guys in the band and said, hey, they want to put it out under Black Pacific. Does anyone have a problem with it? No one responded. And so I took that to mean that it was okay. And I don't know, apparently it wasn't. So a little bit of kickback on that, and something we can get through with therapy and go to the rock and roll therapist and work through that. But I really like the name Black Pacific. I made it up when I came out of the band for a while, and to me it's growing up here at the beach and staring out at the Pacific every day, and the idea that the Black Pacific is kind of a connotation of death, and the idea of this black final sleep that we'll all go to. And it just seemed like a really cool name, and I really liked the imagery around it, and being a lifetime surfer, just having the whole ocean involved, it was really important to me. And most importantly, many of the songs on this record I worked on with Alan, the drummer, during the Black Pacific. I mean, almost all the songs except for three I had, all the songs I had worked on with them, but only three of them had I presented to Pennywise. So in fact, the song Best Day Ever, I was the first song I worked on with Alan under the name Black Pacific. So it really seemed that this was the proper name to put it out under.
When you're writing all of this stuff, do you sit down or have it come to you and kind of go like, I think this is what the song's about, and I'm going to write this song? Or do you kind of, as you're working on it, go, oh, this is what it is? Like, does the song tell you what it's about, or do you sort of try to wrestle it into, this is what I want to talk about?
I've always been someone who picks up the electric guitar and just kind of stare at the wall and start strumming away, and something eventually will come out. And then whether I'm angry that day or sad about something that day, perfect example, I read the newspaper cover to cover every morning. My wife hates it. I get a cup of coffee and I read the entire thing, and very often I'm looking at it going, this is happening in the world, or this is happening in our community, or this is happening in our state, or politics, or entertainment, and then I'll pick up the guitar, and this is something I want to write about. Sometimes it's about the whole totality of it. And like a perfect example with Pennywise, I can write a song like Date with Destiny or You'll Never Make It. And those are like fast, angry skate punk songs, or thoughtful songs. And then there's a song like Alien, was a song that I wrote when I was just very depressed over Jason, our bass player, passing away. And it was a very down song that I never thought Pennywise would ever want to record. So in this box of tapes, there's so many songs where I knew that Pennywise wouldn't want them, and one day I'd put them out on my own. And it was just kind of rare that sometimes Fletcher would say, "Hey, this one's really good. We should try this one." I'm like, "Well, you're crazy," but I think in hindsight, that's kind of what helped our band have a little more dimension, than we get credit for. I think a lot of people like the knee-jerk reaction to say every song sounds the same, but there's no way that the song Alien sounds anything like Fight Till You Die. The chord progressions, the sentiment are all completely different, and it doesn't sound like the same band.
Well, what's that thing with like any genre? At first blush, it sounds like something that they're all the same, but the more time you spend with it and actually listen to it and look at it and try to figure out what they're doing, you realize that there's a world of difference in all these things. With all these songs, knowing again that you're writing this stuff that's, personal and like you said, you're in a certain mood, it's got to kill you to put that tape in the box and just put the lid on it and go, all right, my friend, I'll see you in 10 to 15 years when I got a free moment.
It really was. And actually, I was talking with Brett Gerwitz, the owner of Epitaph, before I put this stuff out. And I just said, "Hey, Brett, I've got all these songs that I've always wanted to put out, and the guys don't want to do it. So I'm going to just do it on my own." And just kind of wanted to get his blessing on it. And I said, I don't want to put it out on Epitaph. I don't want to, put that on you, that you would have to do that. And he said right off the bat, he goes, "Jim, I know that it's really hard when people, don't want to do your material." And I really appreciated getting that acknowledgement from him, because it was hard. I definitely, especially on 3 of the songs are on this album. I Think I'm Paranoid, Won't Make a Sound, and Here We Come. At the time, I remember when we were doing the albums, and I'm like, why aren't we recording these songs? Like these, I think these could be really good. And judging from the response that I've gotten from the first few reviews of the album, people seem to like them a lot. So I wasn't that far off base. So it's been hard for me to sit on a lot of these songs this long, and that's why I was like, "Look, guys, I'm not waiting any longer. Unless we go in right now and start recording these songs, I'm just going to do it on my own, and no hard feelings." But that's what I had to do, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. Is it weird going out with Pennywise, because you're on the road now, essentially with playing with the Dropkick Murphys, right?
Yeah.
Is it weird, the kind of this almost schizophrenic back and forth of talking about the Black Pacific, living in this record more and more, and then to go out and, go through the Pennywise, not act or shtick, but like it's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's its own being that you have to contend with.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine, Emily, that works in punk rock and paintbrushes, and we work on artwork all the time. And she always says to me when we're at a show, "Okay, you're going to go on stage and turn into that guy." Like, who is that guy? Like, I don't know who that guy is on stage. He's nothing like you. But and it is a shtick. It is an act. It is something we're going out there to entertain people and get the crowd going. But to answer your first question, it's been extremely awkward. It's been I knew a few months ago that these 2 things were going to coincide. Literally, the first week that we go out with Dropkick Murphys was going to be the week my album's released. The second week would be when the video is going to be released, and the video's coming out tomorrow. Yeah, it's awkward as hell, because for whatever reason, I don't think anyone's been that supportive of what I'm doing, or they're, not talking about it at all. So I'm just kind of doing what I have to do and promoting the album the best I can, and going out and playing the best shows I can, and put my head down and get it done. But I think that's something that a lot of bands go through. I mean, you can see that through all of history with all the bands. going back to the Rolling Stones and the Beatles,
Yeah, I was gonna
of
say.
lead singers wanting to do solo albums or guitar players wanting to do solo albums, and it happens a lot, and there's hurt feelings around it, and it's just part of the job. Unfortunately, you gotta all kind of just get through it.
Yeah. Is there more Black Pacific coming? Are you going to empty that box at some point, or are you just this is it for now? And
hey, not every song on there is a gold record.
well, I mean, it's not all We Are the World. I get that. Yeah, but
yeah, there's definitely a few songs that now that I've been through this with Paul, I would love to do another batch right away. Because let's face it, I'm not 25 anymore, and
none of us are.
and I kind of want to get all this stuff out there and let people hear it. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed being in the studio that time, and when I left Pennywise back in 2008, 2009, it was because we had such a terrible time in the studio, and I was like, looking at 2 years of touring after the album came out, and I was just going, wow, that was a soul crushing experience. Instead of something really fun and great and rewarding, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And so to be able to go in and do this, it kind of reminds you why you do it and why you like to do it. And as long as my hearing can hold up, I want to do more of it. And otherwise, I'll just transcribe all these tapes into digital and put them out how they are with my little Boss drum machine.
That'd be cool. Like you're Nebraska. Well, Jim, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad we were able to make this work. I was hoping to see you guys. I'm outside of Philly when you were at the Met last week, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful venue.
It's great, isn't it? Does it sound as good on stage as it does in the audience? Because I feel like that place, every show I've seen there is just like the sound is amazing.
Oh, really? I thought you'd say the opposite since it's so tall, but no, it's, these days people are wearing in-ears. I'm wearing earplugs to protect my hearing, but it felt great. The crowd was fantastic. Dropkick are the best guys to tour with. And, it's just been super fun. All these venues are fantastic, and always have a great time with the guys in Dropkick, and everyone's getting along. We're having fun. It's like I said, a little awkward to be putting out an album right at the same time we're going out on tour, but we're having a lot of fun at the shows, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. No, that venue, it's shocking. They did something with the acoustics of it. There's like curtains and baffling. Once you get up to the cheap seats, like it always surprises me where I'm like, why does this sound so good? This is unbelievable. Like somebody actually thought about it and spent some time to be like, let's make sure everyone can hear this clearly.
Yeah.
And I wear earplugs too, for the exact same reason. And even that, like just dropping it a few decibels, you can still hear the mix clearly. It's always impressive there. So,
yeah, better than a big box.
Exactly. Here Comes Our Wave, new record by The Black Pacific featuring Jim Lindberg, is available right now via Dine Alone Records. For more information, you can find Jim online, facebook.com/Jim Lindberg Official, or Instagram, where he is at Jim Lindberg PW.
Rock and Roll Grad School is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, because your impassioned review is just as honest as us standing backstage waiting to come back on for the encore. For more information, you can check out our website, rockandrollgradschool.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hegquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the second floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing executive producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Good night, drive safe, and may all your favorite bands stay together.
A sky floating